All right, Jana, thank you. Now to developing news out of Pelham. One person is dead following an early morning fire on North Valley Road today.
Western Mass News reporter Addie Patterson now joins us live from Pelham with the late-breaking details. Addie.
Chris and Amanda, the Pelham Fire Department, extending their condolences to the family that lost their loved one earlier today in today's fire. That fire being reported just after 2:30 this morning. When crews first arrived on scene, they found the two-family house fully engulfed in flames. With fire pouring through the roof and windows of the building, firefighters immediately began working to put out the fire. First responders quickly learned that the two-story structure was occupied by one person, a man in his 30s, who was unaccounted for. He was later found dead inside the home.
All three departments arrived around the same time and found the structure fully involved with fire coming out of the roof and all the windows on all sides. It was later determined after the fire was knocked down and overhauled that there was a resident missing. So a search then found that resident deceased in the structure.
A formal identification procedure will soon be conducted to determine the cause of and manner of the occupant's death. Firefighters were able to knock down the bulk of today's fire in about an hour, the blaze causing catastrophic damage to the entire building. Initial crews reported that they did not hear smoke alarms sounding upon arrival. Mutual aid was also called in from Amherst, Belchertown, Granby, Hadley, Shutesbury, and Ware, and they were all called in to help with today's fire. Now, the cause of today's fire remains under investigation, but coming up later tonight here on Western Mass News at 6, I'll have more from first responders on this incident. For now, reporting live in Pelham, Addie Patterson, Western Mass News.
All right, Addie, thank you for that live report. New developments